How are you?
Good to see you, man. All right, great.
You good, Ice?
Steve, how you doing, man? Good to see you, brother.
That's mine.
Enjoyed that game.
This hours, we had one for the other day, we didn't have one for them.
Look, brother.
All right.
Oh,
All right. Let me find what I need to find here.
okay.
Mr. Banks,
Do the prayer, who's gonna do that?
I got that down, Pat. I got to find what's on my computer.
Oh, you gotta find the agenda.
Yeah. Now,
I gotta plug it. I really don't have to plug it.
good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We're going to now call our meeting to order. I'm going to ask, if you will, put your phones on vibrate or turn them off. We're going to ask Supervisor Gerald Steen lead us in the prayer, and Mr. Will Sly lead us in the pledge.
Before we pray, I would like for us to remember former Highway Commissioner Dick Hall, passed away last week, and his funeral is today. So we want to keep him, his family, in our prayers as they go through this time as well within their family. Let us pray. Father, Lord, you're good to us, Lord, and Father, we thank you for that. We thank you for your love that you extend to us daily, Lord, that we do not think about. Lord, we just take for granted. We thank you for that. Father, as we come together this morning, Lord, we just want to lift up Jennifer Hall and, Lord, her family as they go through this time in their life, Lord, with the day, Lord, bearing the Commissioner Hall. Father, we just ask that your healing hand would be upon their family, Lord, as they go through this today. And Father, there's many unspoken requests, Lord, that's within our midst today. We just ask that you would put your healing hand upon their bodies as well. And Father, we pray for our country. Lord, as we have an election tomorrow, that everyone will go out and participate in that election, Lord, as they see a direction for our country to go. But Father, most of all, we just thank you for being our Lord and our Savior. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Will?
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adrian, do it all right. All right. Ronnie, you up?
Yes, Mr. President, you have before you the October 17th board minutes. I would ask if there are no changes to please approve said minutes.
Motion
All
to
right, got a
approve.
motion by Sheila, that's second. Second by Trey. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, you got any concerned citizen, Greg?
Do not, no, sir.
Not? All right.
Great.
We're gonna move right on through. We'll go down to our consent item.
Mr. President, I make a motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion by Gerald, second by Sheila. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Moving right on down to Supervisor. Got Supervisor Trey Baxter.
Mr. President, I got a board appointment vacancy on the Mansdale Heritage Foundation. Mr. Guy Bowering's rolling off, and I would like to appoint Mr. William Bierner to the position, a 3-year term.
On the third. Okay.
And that,
That'll be my motion.
all right, got a motion by Trey,
Second.
second by Sheila. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Moving right along into our business item. Thad,
Mr. President, we're still waiting on the deadline for bids to roll in. If possible, can we push this item back to later in the meeting?
all right. Well, Tim, our engineer.
Yeah,
I guess Tim probably in that thing. Tim, bro.
he listening on.
There he is.
All right. Thought you were missing an action, Tim.
Good morning, sorry about that.
Good morning.
All right.
All right, first item I have is a request for the board to approve the advertisement of construction for Reunion 3.
Motion.
Second.
All right.
That's a big one.
Got a motion by Sheila, second by Trey. Long time coming.
Has been, but it's
Long
here.
time coming.
Very soon afterwards.
Lot of work been put into that. Sure is.
And, Mr. President, if you would,
Yeah.
Tim, do you mind really letting people know where Phase 3 is?
Phase 3 is going to be new road on new alignment, meaning through fields. It's gonna be between Parkway East at the intersection right there at D1 Sports over to Highway 51 at Green Oak.
And also, can you explain a little bit about the signal light at Green Oak? Who is doing what there?
That is an MDOT project that we are helping fund. So MDOT's in charge of actually doing the construction and oversight of construction, but we'll be reimbursing them for part of that.
Do you have a time frame for that signal light to be installed?
Everything is in their court. I will find out and let you know.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Do you have a timeline on how long it's gonna take to build it through there? You have any idea?
18 to 24 months, hopefully closer to
18, 24 months? That gonna be a major accomplishment for the citizen to drive through there.
Yep.
And that is after we award the bids.
Right. We're advertising this week. We're gonna accept bids on the 15th of December. I would imagine we will award bids probably the second meeting in January.
And from there, we'll move forward. You know, it's not the best time of the year to start a project, but they'll do what they can until we get to the drier months.
Good deal.
All right.
Thank you,
All
Tim.
in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. What else, Tim?
All right, next we have request for the board to allow permission for us to stripe Lottville Road, Stump Bridge Road, and John Day Road.
All right, I make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. President, I would like to say that I know roadway striping, and we all have striping that we need and you know, within Madison County. Maybe we all just need to, at some point, get together and put the roads in and give them to you that we would like to see striping and see
Definitely.
if we can, you know,
Yeah.
see if we can put a budget together for that. So,
These are going to be funded out of the bond from last year for the overlay of those
Yeah, we
roads.
used some roads that was overlaid.
yeah.
All right, but I do agree with you though, Gerald.
Yes, I do too.
We need to get a list of roads that need striping all around the county. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. What else you got?
Engineering
Tim?
Department requests the board approve the final plat of the town of Lost Rabbit Phase 2A. This is a one-lot subdivision with no public infrastructure associated with it.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Sheila, second by Trey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next item I have is a request from the Engineering Department for the board to approve the final plat of Joseph Farms. This is a four-lot subdivision on 27.78 acres with no public utilities involved.
Move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Carl, second by Trey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, final item I have is the Greystone Neighborhood Homeowners Association has applied for a grant through, I think it's the library system, to put they're calling it a little library. It's basically a box on a post with some books in it in the neighborhood, and they want to put it on right away. We've looked at it. I have no issue with where they want to locate it, but I'd like to get the board's approval before we allow them to install that little library.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Trey, second by Sheila.
Tim, I would,
Discussion.
do we need some type of agreement signed, Mike, to do this and to move forward with it? I don't have a problem with it. It's just that we probably need some type of agreement between the county and whomever.
A subdivision?
It's within the limits of subdivision. I mean, it's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's going to be about 50 feet from a stop sign. We can make them do a breakaway type post if we need to, but if anybody hits it, it's going to be a very, I mean, it's like a mailbox, or probably less than a
About
mailbox.
like a mailbox, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some, I mean, if y'all would put that in your motion, it'd be good to,
Tim, just move forward with it, and if Mike determines at some future date we need an agreement.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna put the brakes on it for, you talking about looking like a birdhouse looking thing, aren't you?
Basically.
Yeah.
You've seen them before. They're little
everywhere.
boxes,
They-
about
they
that big
are.
with books in them.
Just do that.
All right.
The one in Lake Carolina, I believe, is at Clubhouse.
most time they don't even come and ask.
Yeah. So, yeah.
They
that's
just
true.
put them on there.
But you want me to-
That's,
Clubhouse,
you know,
huh?
That is
You're
true.
right. They doing a whole lot, not coming in and ask. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carry.
That is all I have. Thank you.
All you got, Tim? Anybody got anything else for Tim? Ooh, surprising. All right, Scott.
Mr. President, Board of Supervisors, good morning.
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 The first item I have is the Shores at Caroline 2B. They're combining lots 74 and 75 off Harbor View Drive, Supervisor District 2.
Motion.
Motion by Trey. Is that second?
Second.
Second by Carl.
Question. Do we have
Discussion.
a Harbor View Drive in Twin Harbor also?
That sounds familiar.
I think we do. I hope that's not confusing for anyone.
Got a motion in a second.
Yeah, motion in second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Next item on the plat amendment, Churchill of Charlton Place. It's the combination of lots 73 and 74 into one lot. And it's in Supervisor District 4.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Carl, second by Trey. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. What else, Scott?
The next thing is item 61, B Green LLC, Supervisor District 5.
All right.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify before this goes for execution, that this is only a zoning verification, that the property is properly zoned for the use. This is not approval of any sort of site plan or building or any of that type of stuff. It's just a formality that B Green has asked for in order to obtain their license. And it's got Supervisor Griffin to sign as District 5 supervisor, which is obviously true, but I would ask that an addition be made down there that he is the president and that this is a board action and not just a single supervisor action.
All right, I make that motion.
Second.
Second by Trey.
I only have one question. What's the zoning? I guess I should have opened this.
It's probably agricultural.
I think it's ag. This is a medical cannabis cultivation site, which is appropriate for that site.
I'm all for it.
We finna grow some pot, buddy. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm finna grow some pot.
Up in your neck of the woods.
That's right. Legal. We finna grow some legal, so sheriff don't be coming up there. It's gonna be legal.
Coming up there messing with us, Sheriff.
All right, go ahead.
Second item, this has been before you guys before on the mobile home ordinance. We did this back in September, and we had it to be advertised in the Clarion Ledger, but Scott brought to my attention that we need to advertise that in the Madison County Journal. So this is the same action that y'all took back in September. We're just going to advertise it in the Journal. As far as penalties for mobile home manufacturers and installers just coming and dropping a mobile home somewhere and it not be appropriately permitted or even zoned for that.
Yeah. Well, great.
approval.
And the last time we rushed through it, and we
Right.
didn't give you the opportunity to kind of explain it. do you want to add something else to
No, sir.
what you just said?
This is that exact same action. It's just being advertised in a different newspaper. And Scott does, he tells me that folks have been behaving themselves since we did that back in September, so there hadn't been any issues. But this is just kind of belt and suspenders on that matter.
All right, sound great. I heard a motion in a second.
Yeah.
Motion by Gerald, second by Carl.
You got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. All right, we moving right along down to our attorney of law, Mr. Mike Espy.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
I've got two items, 63 and 64. They both involve, in one way or another, federal issues, federal money, federal programs. First is bad news, second is good news. We'll start with the bad news. And I bring this to you with great regret because, and some emotion, of dismay, of shock, and even a little anger. I'll tell you why. For the last at least couple of years, this county has been involved in bringing, in an effort to bring broadband to northeast Madison County. We know we've got 33,000 homes there where the kids leave school, have to go home. They got a tablet from school, a digital device, but when they go home, they can't get the homework out because there's no broadband. And we've made prodigious efforts to try to solve that in this way. When you get your ARPA money, the county decided to park $10 million because it was such an important project. We looked to see where there could be other federal money. We identified a program called Reconnect, which is a part of the infrastructure bill that went to USDA to connect homes, communities without broadband. So we identified that round 4 of that program, we would try to submit an application to fund. The ceiling is $25 million. And we identified that our program was going to cost about $19 million. And we had hoped not to even use our $10 million. Because of the law in Mississippi, no municipalities or counties can run a broadband system. We know that. And so we had to reach out and find what is known as an ISP, Internet Service Provider. This board formed a team of people, engineers, lawyers, 2 board members, to undertake a resolute and serious process of finding an ISP. We did a request for proposals over several months, and we had 4 applicants, qualified companies, telecommunications companies, all 4. We reviewed all 4 2 and 3 times. And as a result of that arduous process, the winner was Comcast. Comcast services, telecommunication services, is our ISP. And the reason that they were selected was because not only did they say they would chip in 1/4 of the cost of the Reconnect award if we were to get it, but others did that. But they were selected because they were the only company that confirmed, affirmed, clarified, declared to us that they would timely file a Reconnect application with USDA on our behalf. There's no doubt about that. They were chosen for that reason. All right, going down the process, we met with Comcast a few times, and they told us they were encountering some difficulties. I'm not going to get into the details of it because I don't know where this is going to go. But we met with them 3 times, and we had them to lay out their concerns. And one was that they needed more help. So this county, during the application process, hired Wagner Engineering to help them principally on the environmental information that had to be uploaded to the portal. So I compliment Wagner Engineering for dropping other projects, getting on that project, and uploading environmental information into the portal on behalf of the applicant Comcast. They also had 4 waiver requests, meaning we're concerned we want something waived from a federal regulation. But we got busy. And one was a major issue that in direct talks with USDA, we were able to get a satisfied workaround that Comcast was satisfied with. And it was major. And USDA agreed to some things. And the last week before the deadline, which was November 3rd at noon, 12 noon, we got another call from Comcast. They wanted 3 more waivers. And we talked about that. And although we objected to one of them because it didn't make any sense, and I thought it was not possible under the regulations, we agreed to do it anyway. And so of the 3 remaining waiver requests, we were able to get 2 of them. And USDA gave us an answer within 24 hours. Now that's pretty good. You have to go through legal, administrative, and we got a response within 1 day. And the third one was just not even possible. It was under regulations of Reconnect, not possible. And we told Comcast that, so they accepted that, and they moved on and began to upload the information. All I can tell you is that on November 3rd at noon, the portal shut down. Computer shuts it down. And they were not finished uploading the Reconnect application on behalf of this county. So whether you, at that point, have supplied 20% of the information, 40%, 80%, 90%, it doesn't matter. If you don't supply 100%, you're out. And so I'm regret to tell you that at November 3rd, 12 noon, our application was not filed because the portal shut down before they completely uploaded the information. So as a consequence, everything we worked for is for naught in this round. All the efforts we made are for naught in this round because the $19 million or the $22 million as it became, we never requested it because they didn't finish the application. And that's very regrettable, very regrettable. All I can say is that this county did pretty much everything we could do. Mr. Griffin, Mr. Steen on that committee, our former administrator, our current administrator, everything we could do to satisfy Comcast concerns were done. So I'm here to report to you that we did not file a timely Reconnect application because our ISP didn't do it. Saturday morning, Comcast reached out to me, and they want to meet. I have no authority to set any meeting. That's up to you, whether you want to do it or not. I don't know, up to you. But I told them I would get back to them. So on this issue, it's awful. And this is my personal opinion, nobody's but mine. I believe that if we had filed a timely Reconnect application based upon my knowledge of USDA and how they considered our waiver request, I'm speaking for myself, we would have been funded. Funding takes 3 months. So you would have known in January whether you had $22 million or $19 million. I believe we would have. So, but that's just me saying this, but I believe I'm right. So we're not gonna get that because we didn't file. And I regret that. So I don't know what you wanna do. And I'm shocked, dismayed, and angry about it because the deadline was public. No one can say they didn't know what the deadline was. Nobody. And we knew that. And right after the deadline passed, they were calling me back and forth all day. And they made they made other requests, which I didn't even entertain. So we missed it. Not the county's fault. The only thought we may have selected the wrong ISP. That's it.
All right, thank Mike. I just want to say I'm very, very, very disappointed in Comcast. Very disappointed. But I do want to say I'm so proud of the team, the broadband team, that they put in all the time, all the work. The engineers, they put in the time and the manpower to make this happen. So we want to thank that team and the engineer company. But I do want to say, we as a board, I suggest that we get together and we come up with a plan to present to Comcast on going forward. If we choose Comcast, we might want to go toward some other direction. But the only thing I do say, it ain't over, Comcast. You made us look like we lied to the citizens of Madison County. And this board here is not in the business of lying to the taxpayers. You signed a contract to help us get broadband in the most needy area in the county. These children and working folks and retired folks need broadband as soon as possible. And you sat on your butt and didn't start in time to file a
Reconnect.
what is it?
Reconnect.
File the Reconnect grant. Sit on your butt, not filing that Reconnect grant, and made Madison County miss out on millions of dollars where they could have received and the help the most needy area in the county. So going forward, I'm not going to be in a happy feeling, but we are going forward, Comcast, and we'll be letting you know soon. But if I got anything to say about it, it won't be this Tuesday, because we're going to get our plan together and we're going to let you know when we want to meet.
Yes.
And that's where I am. I just want to say this to the citizens of Madison County. Your board haven't given up on getting broadband for the most needy area. We did not lie to you. We got a contract with Comcast that's signed by them. We signed it. So we're going to do what it takes to move forward on getting broadband for Northeast Madison County.
Okay.
I'm through.
You know, the question I have, just Mike, it seems that Comcast actually never wanted to do the Reconnect application. I mean, a company that large with all the help that our engineering firm was giving them, basically they didn't have much to do but upload it. So, you know, I'm concerned about, you know, why. What were they trying to, you know, it looks like they were trying to mislead Madison County, one, but for what gain? You know, most companies like that are looking at the dollar bill and how much money they could make. And heck, they were going to get if we'd have got the grant, they were going to end up with, the money was going to them,
Yeah.
All of it.
all of it. So there's something, there's something that we don't know that was going on, because we ended up talking to people very high up nationally
Yes.
with Comcast. This wasn't a local manager of Comcast we were dealing with. We were dealing with people in their national office. So there was, you know, I don't. They got something. They got something that they're really hiding. And that's
Your
something I gotta
concern had some basis. Because during the process, the contract we signed that Mr. Griffin mentioned, signed at that desk was sent to Atlanta. And after about 3 weeks, nothing happened, and we asked what's wrong. And we got two answers. Number one, the contract was sitting in someone's cubicle for 3 weeks. And the other was that a FedEx truck damaged the box that the contract is in, rolled over it.
FedEx trip
We had
ran
to
over.
send it back to Mr. Griffin to sign it twice. So your concern has some basis. So I don't know, I'm not speculating.
Yeah.
All I know is at the end, they did upload it, but not in time. And we missed the opportunity.
Okay.
Mike, I appreciate you bringing the update, and I know that we're following the emails the last couple of weeks as far as correspondence between you, the county, and Comcast and their team. And you're right. We put a lot of work and effort in this, several meetings, and the ISP that we selected was Comcast, and it was duly, mainly because of they agreed
Yeah.
to do the reconnect application.
Yeah.
It's no surprise. They agreed to it. And for them to miss the deadline when they knew where what the deadline was all along, as my fellow supervisors sitting next to me said a while ago, seemed like we were being misled. If that's the case, that's very poor. Yeah, if that is the case, but that's what it seems to me today, because they really did not start working on that application sincerely until 2 weeks prior. You know, and then they come and asked for several waivers, which most of them was done with the exception of one that you mentioned earlier, which that was I mean, that was just, I'd have been embarrassed to even ask for that waiver.
Yeah.
But they did. But I'm very disappointed, and I'm not sure where this is going, where this board wants it to go. But I'm very, very disappointed in where we are today.
Okay, well, you know, we went to Washington twice on this, and in one meeting, Mr. Griffin sat next to the Rural Utility Service Director and showed her the map, and it was all good. So I'm just so sorry that we couldn't get to that point because the path was laid out, and I'm just so sorry. So whatever you guys decide to do to tell Mr. Higginbotham and I, we'll do it. But I'll just leave it there right now.
All right.
All right.
All right, thank
64 is better news. It also involves USDA. And this time it's a program that Mr. Banks knows a lot about. So it says EWPP, which stands for Emergency Watershed Prevention Program. And this involves flooding in Canton. In the last flood, we noticed that emergency services and Canton Public Works had to bring people out of their houses because principally the creek known as Bachelor Creek, or creosote ditch, or whatever you call it, is in bad shape. So this has been something that we've talked about for years and Canton's talked about for decades. And so during a recent meeting, you authorized me to hand a request letter to the state director of NRCS, Mr. Kurt Reedus, and I did that. And the letter asked for emergency watershed protection relief immediately for that creek. In quick action, Mr. Reedus authorized an inspection. Because before you know what things cost, you got to inspect it. So he put his senior inspector on it. And because I kept hearing about Creosote Creek and I never seen it, I decided to just tag along. So I got in the public works truck of City of Canton. And I was there for 2 hours looking at the problems of Creosote Creek. I mean, it's a huge thing. And then a minor thing.
Suit on, Mike.
Huh?
I hope you didn't have your suit on. Your
No,
tie
no,
and all
not that day. I mean, in some areas, the creek is as wide as this room or larger. And in some areas, it's twice this podium and smaller.
Yeah.
It just goes like that. And it's full of mattresses, soil mattresses, trash, trees, limbs, auto fenders, moccasins, and who knows what else. And it goes zigzag and it goes wide. And it's something. But it also has caused major erosion. It has damaged the underside of roads and bridges. And it's cut into people's homes. And it's caused risk to utility poles falling in. And the EWPP program is all about reducing damage by Mother Nature that causes harms to humans, property, and utility poles and streets and roads. So in that 2-hour visit, the engineer pointed out what was eligible and what was eligible and what wasn't eligible. And so at the end of the tour, she pretty much said, based on her knowledge, that 6 areas along the tour we took were eligible, about 6 or 7. And so that made this an eligible project of the USDA, and they would step in and they would fix it. Now, she told us that it could be a Volkswagen fix or a Mercedes fix. Meaning, it depends on their consultation with the local sponsor. And we are the local sponsors.
Right.
So it could cost a lot of money, it costs a little money. It depends on what you want to do. And so these are the decisions that we need to make. And we need to make them within 60 days because we don't want to miss that deadline. The inspection after the flood was 60 days. We made that deadline. And now there's 60 days from last Friday or whenever we did it till she submits her report. When she submits her report, it has to be solid. You can't ask for any more money after she submits her report. So whatever we ask for is what we ask for. Cannot be amended. And then it goes to Washington, and it sits in a pile of projects to be funded. And perhaps when it gets to Washington, we can be helpful. But right now, it's in our hands to help her write her report, Mr. Banks, concerning, she will not touch the issues that relate clearly to lack of maintenance over the years. I just put that politely.
Yeah.
But the Mother Nature issues, the erosion, so forth, she'll do. So I don't know what it costs, whether you want a Volkswagen or a Mercedes, but we're in there, and so it's up to you.
Well, I'm always gonna be looking at trying to get the Mercedes if I can. So we just need to get together and take a look and see the locations and the that she's pointing out, so we can come up with a plan. Probably
Mr. Darian Warren from Wagner was with me, and maybe you could say more about it. But that's all I can report. So they're waiting on us to join them, help her write a report.
Well,
You want to say anything, Darren?
Mike, that money, is that matching money?
It's matching money, yes. Right now, it's 75-25. But because it's a low-income area, we can apply for an adjustment where it's maybe 90-10.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you want to do.
Okay. Well, we're definitely gonna be doing that. Okay.
All right. Gary, you got anything to add?
Yes, sir. Just to add to, good morning, Board. Just to add to what Attorney Espy just mentioned, so the engineer from NRCS, she has provided us with what they call the DSRs, the damage survey reports, and these were the reports that she completed as we visited each site, which includes a sketch of the areas for repair, stabilization of eroded areas. So the next step is, as we understand, is if the sponsor wants to move forward, then the sponsor will have to authorize the engineer to develop the cost estimates that they would need to submit to the national level. So that cost estimates have not been developed at this time. She's only confirmed with us by her damage survey reports that these sites qualify. So the next step will be to develop cost estimates to submit to her along with other supporting documentation for the actual application to be submitted.
And how many qualified, 6 or 7?
It was actually 5. We
Okay.
visited 7 sites and 5 qualified.
All right.
Well, first, I would like to go ahead and make the motion that we ask you all to go ahead and develop the cost estimates. We can't go anywhere without it anyway, so we need to get that done. So that would be my motion.
Second.
Okay.
Any comment?
Only thing that I would ask, I agree, moving forward with it. And I heard Mike say the city of Canton is involved in this as well, correct?
Yes, sir, and they have representatives
Okay,
that participate in the site visit
but
as
the
well.
county's gonna be the sponsor, or is it city of Canton, or is it a combination?
Well, when we discussed this during the site visit, I think as it stands now, I think they're anticipating the county is looked at as the sponsor as it stands today.
Okay.
I think so too.
All right,
I'd like to keep it that way.
motion by Carl, second by myself. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Now,
Yeah.
now when you look at the fixed job, there's one way of doing it, I guess, and then there's if what I'm interested in is something that would be easily maintained, or maybe take not hardly any maintenance at all because it's done so perfectly. So we need to look at that.
Okay.
It's clear that there's an issue with maintenance
Yes, sir.
in the creek. And we just need to make sure when we plan to fix the eroded areas, that lack of maintenance doesn't just bring us back to this place some few years in the future. I remember when the riffraff and everything, when Bachelor Creek was done, almost 40 years ago, to stop the flooding, the same flooding. And it worked to reduce the flooding. But the maintenance, as you clearly saw, you were out there,
Right.
has been zero for probably the last 20-some years.
And just to add to that, that was something that the engineer with NRCS pointed out to the city as well, that, you know, even if and when the project is funded, that maintenance moving forward is going to be something critical for the city, and it's going to be the responsibility of the city moving forward, so.
Okay, well, the citizens of Canton deserve to have their creek maintained, and when they elect the elected officials of Canton, they need to be taking care of the citizens that elected them. I intend, and Paul and I intend, to take care of those in District 4 and 5 best we can. But at the same time, we need cooperation from the city to do their job. That's all I ask. Okay.
Darren, on one thing that I'm not quite clear on is the issue that's currently there now with objects in the ditch now. Who would clean those out during this time? Or would that be cleaned out at the same time as a, work on the ditch, or is that something that's separate?
It It would be separate in terms of the project. That goes into
Okay.
what was explained in terms of the Volkswagen versus the Mercedes. So in terms of debris in creeks and ditches, this program does not cover costs associated with debris removal unless it's specifically tied to a natural disaster such as a tornado, a hurricane, something like that.
And that's really what I'm asking at this point then, because we're sponsoring to go in and look at the erosion of the ditch and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But there's another issue there now that has to be taken care of.
Right.
And I think that's where probably the city of Canton needs to step up.
But
Right.
that is.
Yeah.
You know?
There's no intention of us taking over the city's responsibility. We're gonna help, we're helping the city, and we're gonna take care of the, of what we consider was the storm damage, erosion, those
Right.
things. But the maintenance, we can't do daily maintenance
No,
for the
that
city, we
maintenance.
can't. They have their own department to do that.
All right, my question now would be, we moving forward, you know, being a sponsor, we're gonna move forward with it, from what I understand. And so, once we move forward, what kind of time frame do we have in mind, or they have in mind, as far as the money coming down to be able to do the erosion? I mean, were you looking at a year, or? And the reason I'm asking that is because the ditch actually needs to be cleaned as far as with these objects before we do the other part.
Well, as I said, once we apply within 60 days, it goes to Washington.
Yes, sir.
And it sits on a pile somewhere, maybe in some mass cubicle, with other projects across the United States.
Right.
And when the money comes, the money comes. But I'm saying to you that once we file it, then maybe you'll allow some of us to intercede, and maybe we can get it moved up on the list. But so the answer is I don't know.
Only thing I'm saying is city of Canton, if they're gonna clean the ditch out, they need
can
to
do
be
that now.
working on it. That's the only thing that
Yeah,
I'm
they need to
saying.
be working on
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah. Sound good.
I passed that along.
But then we passed in the motion that was made, right?
Nah.
Thanks, Derek.
Have we voted yet?
I think we voted on
You
your
hadn't
motion.
voted yet, I don't think.
I think we voted first.
No vote.
No vote? Okay, so the motion is to, have the engineers do the,
Cost
estimate
Cost
of cost.
estimate. All right, and I second that motion.
Okay,
So it seemed like I seconded that motion a little while ago,
yeah,
but
Okay.
Bus didn't carry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
okay.
Motion carried. All right, County Administrator, Greg Hickenmarker.
Morning.
All right.
Have a few things for you today. First is item 65, rejection of the bid for the Alliance Fire Station. On November 3rd, we opened bids for the Alliance Fire Station. The budget estimate provided by Dale Partners was $2.53 million.
And how much it come out to be?
Came out with just the base bid, and this does not include getting utilities to the site. Makita was going to do that, so it was not factored into this bid cost. But this base bid was $3.674 million.
Well,
Slightly, yeah.
Second,
well,
got a motion by Trey to reject.
Well,
I'll second the motion,
All right,
you
Gerald
should.
second it.
Second.
but I would like to.
Any other
look
discussion?
well, I mean, you know, it is not something that I did not anticipate because the direction in which we decided to go is the most expensive direction to go. You know, we had asked, we were forming the central fire district around Canton, and that was part of it. That little 1,000 acres. And for some reason, some people thought that, well, we need to take that out. And we just gonna have our own little fire station sitting right there, and we're gonna have our own little fire department just to have one entity that's there now. And of course, the grass fires, with a ladder truck. Because the state gave us that ladder truck. Now, the brilliant minds down at the state start sending letters and texts and everything else up to the gentlemen and ladies on this particular board. I didn't get one.
I didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
No, I didn't get one.
Okay, so they didn't send one to the Democrats. They sent it to the Republicans, which always say they're very conservative. And I think those people in the state were Republicans that are very conservative, like to say the taxpayers' dollars. They turned around now. This is the biggest waste of taxpayer dollars I've ever seen, because not only is this thing $3.6 million for a fire station without utilities, mind you. So I don't know what the utilities are going to cost to get to it. The plan is to hire firemen, and I have heard, I don't know how true that is, I've heard that the fireman cost for a year is going to be 1.6 every year from now on. Well, I forgot. There's probably going to be raises and everything like that. So it's going to start out at $1.6 million. So we're going to spend $5 million right up front to protect Amazon. And Amazon has a $40 million fire retardation system, which means that we probably will never do anything but put out car fires, grass fires, or whatever around Amazon, because Amazon gonna put out its own damn fire. But this is what I expected, and this is why I did not want, and this is why I voted against having the 1,000 acres pulled out and created its own little fire district, because I know we could do it cheaper. I know it only was going to cost about $300,000-$400,000 to add a bay to the fire station that's, what, 7/10 of a mile from Amazon, and house that ladder truck. But thanks to our wise people down in the legislature, they talked to our wise people on the board to, no, don't do that. We can't have nothing to do with. Well, my goodness, why not? Could have saved money. Same people are running the truck now. Yeah, eventually, if they built this $3.6 million station and hired this $1.6 million worth of manpower, then Canton wouldn't have a need to do anything but back them up. But anyway, I got my chance to have my say and say, I told you so. Okay.
All right.
Mr. President, I can't let that go without saying something. You know, the cost of this fire station didn't have anything to do with what my colleague just said. And so I'm going to leave it at that. And he can say whatever he wants to with the elected officials downtown. I'm not going to agree with him on anything that he just said, okay? Make that clear. But the fire station did cost more. We was kind of expecting 2.5, 2.8, give or take a little bit. And we know how inflation is, and it's high. And I would definitely be the one saying the decision was made was the right decision to build the station out there and to separate it by all means and to move forward with it, and that's what we're going to do. But my discussion really was about the pad. I know Makita is going to build a road to the fire station. And from what I understand is that I think Makita, or the engineer for Makita, has come and talked with the fire board out there saying that they could probably get the pad built for less money than what the bid come in to be this time. I would ask that Drew or you to work with the fire board with Makita to go ahead and see what they could build a pad while they are building the road to the fire station, proposed fire station. That's really, I think, would be our next step, is to see what kind of cost it would be just to go ahead and build the road and also the fire pad for the station itself. So don't necessarily need that in the motion. That's just something I think we need to explore.
All right, we got a motion and a second to reject the bid. That's what on the table now. And everything that's said, I agree with some of it. But my vote to reject this bid is to kick the can down the road. The economy might get a little better, and we might come back and look at doing something a little different instead of the day with the prices so high.
Right.
But I do agree with my colleague Carl. I told you so also. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed to reject the bids? Moving right along.
All right, item 66.
Is that a unanimous vote?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Item 66 is to authorize the board president to execute an audit withdrawal letter. Our firm we had under contract to do our 2021 and 2022 audit has undergone some personnel changes, and they are no longer able to fulfill that contract. By sending us this letter and authorizing the board president to execute it, we can expedite the process of bringing on the new auditors, whom will be the office of the state auditor.
Okay.
So the state auditor's office will be coming to do at least 21 from what I'm told, and maybe 22.
Make a motion for approval.
Motion by Gerald.
Second.
Second by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, item 67 is just a request for this board to acknowledge the fiscal year 2021 continuing disclosure. It's part of our financial obligations, sending this information to the folks that need to know it.
Second.
By Sheila.
Second.
Second by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, item 68 is a request to approve the Madison County Library boiler replacement at a cost of $13,282.78 to the county. City of Canton has agreed to put in half of the approximately $26,000 replacement, but currently the library in Canton has no heat.
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion by Gerald, second by Carl. Is Drew gonna take the lead on getting this fixed, or how is this gonna work with the money getting from Canton and getting from us? We just gonna give it to the library, or who gonna?
The PO will have to come from either us or the city. Ms. Amos and I will at some point get together and figure out what that looks like. I would prefer us take the lead.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. President, I would ask for Greg to put in the breakdown of that 26,000 into the minutes as well, just where we can have the breakdown with the other proposals.
All right. What else, Greg?
All right, 69, purchase of advertising from local chambers of commerce. There is no way for a board to join, but that we can purchase advertising and get our logo in front of the businesses that are members. In particular, in front of you, you have the Ridgeland Chamber of Commerce, the Gluckstadt-Madison Business Alliance, and the Madison County Chamber of Commerce. That is not a slight against Flora, Madison, Canton, et cetera, et cetera. Madison, City of Madison has Madison Community Partners. They do not have a chamber. They should be reaching out to me at some point in the near future, and I'll probably come back. City of Flora does not have a chamber, and the City of Canton has kind of a fledgling organization, which I'm in contact with the folks that run that to maybe bring that back before you as well.
Make a motion for approval.
Got a motion by Gerald,
Yes.
second by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Clerk, or Board, if you don't mind, can that motion specify somewhere about helpful toward advancing the moral, financial, and other interests of the county, just to make sure we are in compliance with the...
You got that,
I
Ronnie?
thought that's what he said.
That's what it says on the agenda, just want to make sure it's captured in the motion.
Oh, that's what he said.
That's what I heard. Yes,
I'll
sir.
change my motion to those words.
Yeah.
please.
Those words. Okay.
Heard him say it.
Item 70.
All right.
At the last meeting, this board asked myself and our attorney to get with Gluckstadt at the City of Gluckstadt's request to kind of renegotiate the road MOU. We had that meeting and that discussion. We do anticipate bringing a new MOU before this board, hopefully hopefully next meeting, maybe the following. And the idea is for the tax dollars to be returned to the City of Gluckstadt so that they can kind of help get their startup public works department underway.
All right.
Greg, what's the changes?
Half of them to be returned.
Yes. The portion that's due to them by law. We're not just going to give them extra
What's
money.
the changes between the old MOU and the new MOU?
The current MOU, the one that's in effect now, calls for the county to be responsible for maintenance, upkeep, regular road repair. That will, in theory, go away. And the city will be responsible for contracting out their own pothole repair. And the idea is that there will still be some language in the new MOU to allow them to call on the county for help if need be. We would bill them at cost because we are not a profit-making venture. So it's no more of the primary responsibility for repair being on the county. The primary responsibility shifts to the city, clears up a bunch of insurance issues, any road damage, and allows the city to spend their money where they see fit rather than us.
Take over the liability.
Exactly.
And everybody's in agreement, the board and the mayor, everybody's on board with this?
Our conversation was with the city clerk and the Board of Aldermen's attorney. They were on board.
Okay.
But that's something you're going to bring back to us in a couple of
Absolutely.
weeks,
We'll have to
30
get
days.
the final, or the new MOU before this board for approval, but that's where we're heading. At least that's the intent.
Good deal.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Move right along.
Moving right
President, we're
along.
ready to address the bids. Ready to go back to address the bids. It's past 10 o'clock. The one,
Yeah, just came
It was
in.
originally under,
They even got nothing to do. White good government. Come on, son.
item number 53, Madison County short-term note.
Now, the son. Come on.
Yeah,
Get that
yeah.
control here.
Yeah, you lost your turn.
Good morning. Item number 71 is the budget amendments and the end-of-fund cash transfers.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Item 72 through 75 is a general claims docket and 3 payroll dockets.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Item 76.
Item 76 is the approval to pay the election workers that's on the attached list after tomorrow's election.
Move.
Motion by Carl, second by Sheila. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Motion carried.
And the last item is number 77, which is the approval of the Fleet Corps claim docket.
Move.
Motion by Carl,
Second.
second by Trey. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Come on,
All right.
Steve. See it out there. Didn't take no time.
Come on, Steve.
Tell us about some money.
All right. I'll do half. All right. No, just come on with all of them. Yeah. Here you go. Come on.
I'm doing them. Okay.
Come on.
Fair enough.
This is not conforming.
This one?
This one.
Oh, that one. Okay, fair enough. All right, we received a few bids, obviously. We're gonna butcher these as I try to open them. First bid does not have a name on the outside. Hancock Whitney Bank, with an interest rate of 5.220.
Remember, we're no longer in 1% money anymore.
It's not 0.5.
I see.
I wish.
And that's what happened to that fire station too. Was that right there?
It was a bad idea all the time.
You don't need these envelopes, do you?
Will.
I hope it go down from here.
You and me both. Next up is Regions.
Like a Christmas present.
Hey, it's something. This is not ideal. Oh, there. All right, 4.29% from Regions.
4.2.
Kind of headed in the right direction.
Keep going.
Definitely going in the right
going that
direction.
way,
You're
huh?
right.
Wait. Let's go.
Thank you. That is considerably easier than me sitting here butchering these things. All right, next up is FNB Tupelo. Note shall bear interest at the rate of 4.67%.
That's wrong direction.
Yeah, they ain't doing too good.
Doing great here. Next up will be, well, this doesn't work either. Trustmark.
All right, Trustmark.
Came with a complimentary business card from someone. Let's see here. 4.29%.
2.29. Oh. Oh. That's in a tight run.
Cadence Bank.
You said what?
Cadence, I believe it used to be Bancorp South.
Oh, okay.
4.88%.
Yeah.
8.
And finally, at least I believe that's finally.
Yep.
Yep, that's it. Last one. It's got a class. Why don't you stick it together? Community Bank. Note shall bear interest at the rate of 3.82%.
All right. Say that again, 3 point what?
3.82.
Sound like.
All right.
That is my understanding as well.
All
I will
right.
refer to the expert here.
I mean, unfortunately, that's the environment we're in.
Yeah.
And so the community bank is a good bid at 3.82, and that's what I'd recommend to the board.
Is that a motion?
My man. I make that motion.
All right, motion by Carl, second by Sheila. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
We expect to have money in the bank by December 9th, if not
December
before.
9th. All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey, which bank was 5 something?
Hancock.
Oh, I don't go there no way.
Steve, you didn't introduce your partner that come up here with you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
the
thought
first time she's been up in a while, I think.
Elizabeth Clark from Butler Snow. She
Looks better than that.
That's
goes without saying.
good deal. Thank y'all for coming.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just make a suggestion to the board. I think December, they say we can have money in the bank.
9.
So I think it's 5-point-something million. So each supervisor looking at $1 million point something. Recommend that you maybe get your roads or whatever you plan on doing with it to Tim or Greg, so we can be ready to move forward come December.
Probably the second meeting in December, I guess, or
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean,
We can start moving forward.
We may
with
have
the
money
road
by the
for that.
first meeting, but anytime that any of you have a list, we'll go ahead and take it off your hands and
Yeah.
get it into the queue.
So
Okay,
we
good
start
deal.
calculating it.
All right, moving right along. Ronnie,
Mr. President, at the last board meeting, you as well as Mr. Banks wished to have Region 8 here, have Mr. Van and Ms. Karen Lewis here to speak to y'all.
sound great.
Sound great.
And Dr. Collins here as well.
Yes, Doc, if you will, come on up here. And I kind of want to just get the board to get the right understanding of what you were saying wasn't going on or not going on or what, so the whole board can understand.
I see I've got a 2-minute limit, so I'm gonna try to talk fast.
Might give you a little extra minutes, but still talk fast.
In June of last year, I was chosen as a commissioner to Region 8. My first meeting with the board was a month following. They had a meeting early and didn't tell me. And there was a lot of, an undercurrent of unhappiness as we spoke on the first meeting, but I thought, okay, they don't know me. They get to know me, they'll find what a wonderful guy I am. And it's been a year and things haven't improved. Now, the board voted in the first go-round for me not to be able to vote on issues before the board, motions. I just ignored that and voted, but it's 5-0 every time anyway. but I wanted to assert a positive vote. It was decided by the board that I was not to carry out any of the information provided by the executive director from the meeting. As an example, in the last meeting, he did not distribute the information until 15 minutes toward the end. So it is impossible to figure out what happened. And I said, I'm taking this information home. I'm going to look at it. Well, gosh, some very nice gentlemen used profanity. I mean, I really crossed the line. And I just said this, even I wanted to read the board minutes, which frankly are pretty dull, I would guess. But just to feel like that I was appraised of what had been done. And that was denied. As a matter of fact, the suggestion by the person taking the minutes was that I should not be allowed even to look at any minutes prior to my being a commissioner, which was, I thought, well, I see where this is going. So what I wanted to do, more I thought about it, was to look at the non-clinical information, the administrative information, to understand what's going on, because I have to tell you, it is 4-1, and so I don't expect any big changes coming, but I just don't know what's going on. I've showed it before. I am on the board of the Madison County Citizen Services, so I have some experience with being provided information by the agency. And just to give a plug to Dr. Sims Johnson, she sends the information out in the mail, a couple of days before the meeting, and you have a chance to look at all the checks that were written, all the money that was spent, how she spent her time during that month. And so when we come to the meeting, if we've been good board members, we are already appraised of what has happened during the past month. That is not the way it is at Region 8. So what I proposed is, how do I get to look at I'm not looking at clinical folders. I want to look at administrative information. In Citizen Services, we see all of the checks that were written, except in salary checks. And we decided early on that was a little touchy, and that was to be left out. But every other check written is listed on that. So what I'm asking for is some help in getting to see the information in the running of Region 8.
Prior to the meeting.
Gosh.
And after the meeting, if you choose.
At any time.
Okay. All right.
Makes sense.
Mr. Vance, you got anything that can help us out on getting Doc up to speed?
I think so.
As a board member of Madison County?
You got to remember now, I'm a clinical employee, and I try not to get in the middle of the board's business. And so I'm doing the very best I can with that, but I thought everything was good. I really did, until Ms. Locke called me and asked me to come by here, Mr. President. So they received a well-written, fine letter that Mr. Espy wrote, gave it to the board of Region 8. They reviewed it and accepted it. And to my knowledge, with the exception of what other personal issues he has with the other board members, the board meetings were fine. I've been there 26 years, never had an issue with any board member or any board of supervisors in 5 counties. So just to let you know that I personally thought everything was fine until I was called to come here. The information that he is talking about, I think, is bulky. I think the the organizations that he's comparing is like comparing apples to oranges. Region 8 has $30 million budget and thousands of checks that are written, so if he would like to review those, I'm sure he can ask the board members and they'll be glad to do that, but it would take away consumer time for our office to have to send thousands of checks to anybody. But bottom line is that 5-member board is the governing authority. There's a person that is appointed by each county that we serve. I think they're all fine gentlemen. I think that Dr. Cawthon can tell you, or he should, that I've done everything to try to help him in this whole process. And the information that was given out, it used to be sent out. It used to be sent out prior to the meetings, and it is an abundance of information too. It's not a small amount of information, it's a lot. And the only thing that he receives toward the end of the meeting is a service report, because that's when I get to speak, because it has on the agenda the executive director, and then I hand out the service report of everything that's been going on that month, and it is pretty bulky and it is lengthy. It's more information than what they want. It's more information than what the other four want. And so our chairman, Mr. Cliff Reed, who attended this board meeting, a very respectable, professional individual, made a decision that he did not want the information leaving the building, but anybody and everybody on that board could stay or come early or stay as long as they wanted, but they wanted everything to go through them, because we're in the business of serving the citizens, providing mental health care to thousands of folks. And if one board member is ordering the staff members, and Karen can speak more to this, and administrative staff members, and bringing them out for their own personal purposes, then the people's business would never get done. And so as a result of his request, Mr. Reed told all board members, and they haven't asked him to do anything they're not doing themselves, absolutely not one single thing, that if they had a request for any information, to bring it before the board, and don't try to do business outside of the board for many different reasons, and probably the same reasons why you guys don't do that. And so that's where we left it. Now, 5-member board, they're my bosses. Dr. Cawthon's my boss. I respect him in his position. And I'll do anything and everything that you guys want me to do, but there's some things that I don't have the authority to do, and that is to tell the other board members or Dr. Cawthon, for that matter, what to do.
All right. You all do have a attorney during your day. He be at y'all meeting?
There's a couple different attorneys that they use, well, mainly 3. Mr. Akers, Mike Akers, is who they use mainly for the board's attorney, and that individual was asked to contact Mr. Espy on the front end, and I'm not sure where that went, but Mr. Espy wrote a fine letter, so I think that resolved that, but I don't know if they ever spoke or not, but that was what was supposed to happen.
I'm just trying to get to the point of
we have an appointed attorney that is from
of him being able to receive information, whether by on internet or whatever. Just like this iPad I'm looking at right here, it got Greg got stuff on here over and over on it. By him being a board member, I think he should have the right to see that information. We get our probably Thursday before we meet.
There's HIPAA laws that affect our organization as opposed to you guys, so just let you know that. So
Yep. I'm not talking about
sending out stuff like in the mail.
So how do the other board members get their information? How do the other board members get their information?
Same way he does. They get a packet when they come, and they can come as early as they want. They can come and stay as late as they want, and they can look at all of it. But let me back up. Prior to about 6 months ago, we sent out all this information, and according to state law, we just have to notify everybody of the meeting, and that's what we do. And we sent all this information out. Okay, so quite honestly, that
information out to board members.
I'm sorry, Mr.
You
President.
were sending it out to board members.
Correct. Right. The financial information, but never the clinical information in the report that he's talking about that has client information on there. We haven't said, just for fear that it might get left somewhere, somebody might drop it, and it's got somebody's name on there and they're involved in mental health services. So that's the reason, and that's never, in 45 years, as far as I know, the clinical information's never been sent out. But in general, if they want to speak about that or ask questions, I guess that would be a board issue and not for me to speak to. But as far as financial information, finances, we go over that. We have CPA. Karen's here today. She takes the minute. She does the minute. She's a CPA. She's a Madison County native and resident, and she'll be glad to answer any questions along those lines. And
So it's clinical information only you don't want leaving the board meetings? No.
never has the clinical information left the board meetings, but about 6 months ago, the financial information stopped being sent out. Staff changes and financial information. I don't know, but personnel issues, according to our chairman, don't need to be sent out. One reason why they stopped sending out the personnel stuff is because and again, he's my boss, and I'm in a bad position because I'm not the one that's making these decisions, and they're the governing authority, and I would love for them to speak to you guys or you to speak to them, be glad to give you their names. But Dr. Cothran started calling some people that were separated from Region 8 in another county, had nothing to do with Madison County, for good cause. They had administrative processes, they exhausted those, went to court, so forth and so on. And then he got the information and started calling people, trying to find out dirt, according to our board members, on the board members and other employees, as well as coming to the offices and ordering people out of their offices and asking them questions and getting what they call a level and making sure that the employees level up their pictures on the walls that were crooked and spending all their time doing that. So the board members put some things in place to make sure that they reduce their liability and the unnecessary responsibilities, I guess, or alleged responsibilities alleged by Dr. Cothran did not have to take place. So that's when they said, hey, this financial information and the staff changes information will remain here. We don't want it left behind, but we also don't want somebody coming in and recording without everybody knowing about it. And we have an attorney on that board. Jason Womack is the attorney on that board if you'd like to contact him. But he spoke to the other board members about those behaviors, and that's the decisions that they made.
Let me ask you a question. And Mike, you might have to help me on this. I think your board, Dave, is a public board where they meet, just kind of like ours.
Correct.
The information that is given to me at this board meeting, the sheriff, none of these members, or Mike or Greg, can't tell me not to take this stuff out if I choose to. So whoever telling Dr. Calkin that is full of baloney.
Okay, I'll be glad to pass that along.
And when you get the information, Doc, take it on. They had a sheriff there to keep you from taking it with you. Can they stop me for taking this information out of here, Mike? If it ain't sensitive matter, if it ain't about a patient, or I know not executive session, regular board section that should be open for the public anyway.
That would be difficult to stop you from doing that legally. It would be difficult now.
He's a big man.
No, I ain't looking at that. I ain't looking at being a big.
Yeah.
God being the shortest somebody up here.
I think I'm probably shorter than him.
Oh, I forgot Sheila down there.
Okay, so look, why don't we do this? Mike, can you work with this guy and these people here and figure this out so that he gets information instead of us all worrying about it up here? This has got to be worked out. He's got to be included.
I agree, but it can't be through me. I'm not part of the governing authority.
Well,
and
whoever.
I keep being commissioned to come here and speak, and you know, and like Greg here, he's got 5 bosses. I got 5 bosses. And so I'm on the clinical side, and I'm doing everything I can to ensure the people of Madison County get the services they need. I'm not getting involved in the politics stuff.
I'm going to agree with Supervisor Jones, is that this is about the 3rd time y'all been up in front of us in a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what's going on, because we don't get the whole story.
Right.
But I agree with Supervisor Jones that if we can get our attorney to look into it and just see how it can be resolved, I'd be willing to go down that road.
Yes,
and get this
please.
thing
Let's
resolved.
get this
I'm in
resolved. This
agreement.
is silly.
I'm in 100% agreement with you guys.
I have to agree with both the supervisors, and you know, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm also hearing some things that make me say that then Dr. Kaufman needs, you know, that there's got to be some kind of way he can find his way to being a member of the board. I think that there's been a clash ever since day one, and so it may be difficult for him to gel into the board, since it seems that he wasn't wanted from day one. And I think that's caused some reactions from him to feel that there has been some reason, if they didn't want him there, then they must be hiding something.
Or him, one of the two, yeah.
Yeah.
Or whomever.
Yeah,
could
so I
be.
don't know how to figure this out, but I do know, you know, I have been a member of a board before that, and I wasn't wanted.
Yeah.
And I found a way to gel and become a member, a part of that board, and I got minutes. Of course, back in those days, we only got
He gets
once
minutes. He gets
year or
everything.
two.
He gets everything that everybody else gets,
Well.
in exactly the same amount of time to review it, days, whatever. Everything that applies to him applies to everybody else.
So what's Dr. Kaufman's relationship to the board? Who?
I might not be the best person to answer that. He might be able to answer that.
No, I
but
mean not personal, but as far as the organizational structure, explain to me. The board is over the whole organization, correct? But
Correct,
we
yes, sir.
appointed Dr. Kaufman.
Madison County.
Right. The
Medical
commission is the governing authority for the entire region, and there's one representative appointed by each supervisor in the 5 counties that we serve. The counties can go to other regions can go to other counties with mutual consent, but right now we have 5 counties and a 5-member board, one appointed from, so the governing authority is the board, not the commissioner, it is the commission. And so, you know, they're all grown adults, and like I said, I thought everything was fine. I thought he did mesh with the board. There's been issues between him and the other commissioners that I don't feel like it's my, neither do I have the authority or the right to start talking about
So
those
the
issues.
board's separate from the commissioners. He's a commissioner.
It's the same thing, I'm sorry.
So there's 5 commissioners.
Yes, sir.
And he's one of them.
Yes,
one
sir.
of
Mhm.
And all the votes normally come down to a 4-1 vote usually. What?
I don't think there's been any, I think everything's been unanimous. I think that's an issue too. None of these issues has he brought up to the board members, period, or in a board meeting. And there's not been any, 4-1 vote. It's all been unanimous. Everything's been unanimous.
So
5-0.
The only issue is that there's a suspicion that information's getting taken out of the meeting and misused.
I've only heard of one thing, and that's that he started
What's
calling
the problem?
employees.
I don't understand. I'm missing. So what's the problem?
I am too.
He voting on issues that he had no prior knowledge of what it sound like.
Dave,
Just if you just
that's
handed
his-
your agenda when you first came in.
You know, one thing concerns me as well, and I've heard it, that how does that affect Madison County in other areas of Madison County?
Yeah.
That's another major concern. Not only our representative, you know, looking
Right.
out, making sure he has the information that he needs to be able to make good decisions.
He does have that
But-
information.
But But how does that affect Madison County and some other areas that y'all represent as well? And that concerns me.
Yes, sir.
That this is still going on after a year and a half or longer.
Right.
And I do think that it is part of your responsibility.
Okay.
I do think it's your responsibility because you're the one that comes in front of us.
Yes, sir.
We listen and hear you.
Right.
If it's not you, then you should have had the right person to come with you today. And
I've tried to
address
get
this.
all of them to come in front of you, and they said that you don't have the authority
right
to.
person.
Okay.
They said
So,
what?
They said that they came before and they did not plan to come again, the other board members from the other counties.
When do these board members meet and
Well-
where?
I'm sorry.
When and where do these board members meet? When and where?
The last Monday at 10 a.m. of every month.
Where?
At Region 8 in Rankin County, which is a central location at the boardroom.
And name out those counties again, Rankin, Madison.
Rankin, Madison, Copiah, Simpson, and Lincoln.
So all the board members are provided the exact same information at the exact same time?
Exactly.
Okay.
That up to 6 months ago, they were sending that information out to each board member.
Yeah.
Then, when Dr. Nelson got on, they stopped sending it out there.
No, months after he got on it and started calling people, and
He was trying to find information. I would have been doing that too. If I wasn't getting information to be able to make a good decision, I would have tried to find out other information too, so I can make a good decision.
I think if we ask Mike to go look into it, because I'm really concerned how it affects other areas of Madison County as well, because I think it does.
So, Mr. Steen, could I respectfully say that we take our job very seriously, and all this stuff that's going on that's wasting everybody's time has nothing to do with the quality of services that we're providing to the citizens
I don't
of
believe
Madison
so
County.
either. I don't
Yeah,
believe so.
absolutely. We are looked at as the premier mental health center in the southeast, and there ain't nobody that I wouldn't put us up against when it comes to taking care of
I'm not
it.
disagreeing with that,
It-
but
it-
I know when you have a board member on the
Yes, sir.
board, it does affect the area that board member represents.
Yes, sir.
And he represents Madison County.
Yes, sir.
And so it's a must that we get this straight.
Yes, sir, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yeah,
Mr.
and
President.
I think it might be your job to ease into your board member, because you know your board member personality. Some of them are probably old and been doing this for years and years, and they set in their ways. Dr. Calkin bring in new ideas. They got to be open, because this 2022, they got to be open for new board members.
I'm 100% behind you, Mr. President, and I'll do everything I can to help. I can assure you that you've got my commitment that I will do everything I can. I promise.
Mr. President, if I may.
How long was Melvin Ray a board member?
He started in like 98, so years, I can't do the math real fast, but over 20 years.
Who was
maybe
prior to
23.
him? You remember?
Lady by the name of Fran, and I can't remember her last name. That was prior to me being hired there, Fran. And that's one issue that came up. Fran, whatever her last name was, she was also a psychologist or did those evaluations, and so she resigned from the board because of that conflict, and that was the reason why the board asked me to come to the prior meeting and talk to you about those things. So I don't know her last name. I apologize, Mr. Banks, but I can find out.
You around them. Ronnie, you got something?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I'm the one, I guess, directly affected because we are the ones who use Region 8. Their services have been perfect. He's visited us. Dr. Coughlin's services have been perfect. They've done an excellent job. Everyone in Madison County who needs their services, his services, have been treated. And there's no effect on Madison County in a negative manner whatsoever.
I don't believe it is either, but I've been a new board member. All of us been a new board member. You know when you're getting treated respectfully as a board member, and I think Doc is feeling that he's not getting the respect as a board member, and with him not getting that respect as a board member, it gonna cause problem for Madison County in the long run. So that board of Region 8 need to understand that, cause they probably been there for years and years and have not went through this transition before. We got to go through this transition cause our member died. And don't treat us like no stepchild. Our board member represent Madison County. Out of them 5 counties you call, I don't think but one of them is in the same class that we are. They were Rankin County. Lincoln County and Copiah County, they secondary to Madison County. Don't treat our board member like no stepchild. I'm not gonna sit here and let y'all treat him like a stepchild. Whoever it is, whether it's your board member or whether you, David,
Yes,
y'all
sir.
let give the man what he needs. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I mentioned a while ago that it affects Madison County. I'm not gonna put the sheriff on the spot, but, he may want to speak up to something as.
Be glad to answer
how
any questions the sheriff
how it
has.
may have affected Madison County.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I brought it up, because
Absolutely.
I think it has.
Since I'm being asked, I've dealt with Region 8 for a number of years now, and I've got to be honest with you. I think Mr. Griffin and Mr. Steen hit the nail on the head. Since this change in appointment to our board member, it's obviously affected Region 8's, I'm not going to say perception, but the way they view Madison County has deteriorated, even within our own detention center. I agree with you. Mr. Van's been the spokesperson for Region 8 as long as I can remember. Comes up, give his annual report, and I think that's great. They've provided services to the Madison County Jail to those in need of mental evaluations and things for Madison County, and until recently, actually it was in the final half of September of this year, we started having some issues. I believe, if you'll recall, that was when shortly after Mr. Van came and gave his annual presentation to the board, and he says he works great with the Sheriff's Department and other entities, and they, not here asking for a raise and hadn't in so long. I remember that line every time. We're fine, we're working together, we're doing things, and I remember being taken aback by that statement on that particular day, because I'll be honest with you, I was pissed off. We had just been in a bout with Region 8 over mental health services. They walked out on us at our facility and left me there with persons. And I don't know Miss Karen. I know there was some email back and forth between her and Jeff. But I can tell you, as the elected official, when those big Department of Justice envelopes start coming, it doesn't have Karen or Jeff's name on it. It's got mine on it. And those individuals in that facility deserve mental health care if that's what they need. And the fact, or that someone would say that we've never had a contract with Region 8, well, I found 2 things to be disturbing about that. One was the statement that we work great with the Sheriff's Department and we're not looking for an increase. Those services have been discussed, and I think most of you that's been on the board a long time remember all those discussions and what they provide for us at the detention center. And then to say there's never been a contract with Madison County Detention Center, I think most of you recall back in 2014, I was in my first term, and mental health became the big topic in detention facilities. And I came before this board. I actually think your predecessor, Ms. Snell, was probably the board attorney at that time, and had a contract drawn up where we were paying Region 8 $3,333.33 a month for mental health services. till we could figure out another solution. It was a 6-month, could be terminated at any time, which we ultimately did after Mr. Espy came in. But we had to go through the process of agreeing on mental health, and I remember the conversation well. As few of mental health patients as y'all's have, we can just go ahead and handle that to you at no cost. And there's been how many annual meetings, annual reports since that time? I think this year would have been the 8th one, about the services they provide and working well with the Sheriff's Department and not asking for an increase or any changes. And then to walk out on me. That's the reason I had to come up and ask you for a budget increase in mental health line item services this year. We had to go back before Vital Corps to finish out the budget year for last year and to cover our mental health services for this year. So I think it's readily apparent that since this particular fight has started with Dr. Nelson, yes, there are other areas of the county that have suffered from it. And it's going to continue until there's a resolution. I don't know what that resolution is going to be, but it was a $235,000 resolution for me on my budget this year. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff. Thank you.
This problem is back to our services. We don't have any authority over the other board members. They're from other counties. If he can't get along with the other board members,
How do we know he can get along with them if they don't let him come to the meetings?
Yeah, that's it.
How do we know if they don't let him come to the meetings? We
Yeah,
sue
I
them.
think-
Mr. President, can I
think-
answer that?
I
Because
think the
y'all
answer-
missing 80% of the information here, I promise. And the Madison County citizens deserve to know the truth, okay? So, in 2014, that contract was signed. 6 months later, we have a letter from Mr. Espy that terminated that contract. Since 2014, Region 8 has provided over $400,000 of free services to the jail. Region 8 did not abandon the jail, did not leave. Karen can speak to that. She has emails and documents, and you guys need to know that that is absolutely not true. Absolutely. They kicked us out, and we were providing free services, and the people of Madison County are paying for services that are not nearly as good as the services Region 8 was providing free.
Dave,
There you
thank
go.
you for that info. I really think if we can
No,
get Attorney
The truth is the
Espy-
truth now.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna
Attorney
sit, because
Espy,
I'm just, I got 32 years in, I'll be glad to walk today, and I can assure you that it has not affected, and this is the very first time I have ever heard from the sheriff that there is a problem at the jail or anywhere in Rankin County in Madison County from him. The very first time. So if I don't know that when I come before you and I tell you that we work good with everybody else and I don't know of any concerns, how can I tell you anything different? This is it. This is the first time. And nobody at the jail, and I went to a meeting over there personally, nobody at that jail had any complaint whatsoever in front of me or to me about the services we were providing, $400,000 worth of free services to the jail. And we were kicked out. We were sending our staff members over there every day. Michael O'Reilly was going, doing assessments. Our nurse practice were going, and you know how much nurse practice costs, free to Madison County Jail. We had no other jail in our region that we provide free services to. Nobody else. And they were kicked out, and I have the documents to prove that.
Mr. President, I think we got a solution to it as far as Mr. Espy working.
I don't know what's going on.
And finding out some more information.
Yeah, we gonna, Mike.
I don't.
Help us. Thank you, Dave, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Doc, for coming. What I would like is to hear back from you in 60 days, Doc. So you've had probably two meetings by then. See if things that got any better after working with Mike over there, because this about the sheriff is new news to me.
But it's not true news. I just want you to know that.
Yeah,
It's false news.
Well,
It's false news, and you know it. I called you 15 times on the phone, and you never even answered the phone.
Hold up. But it's gonna be,
One time I called, and I was in a meeting, and I called you right back within an hour.
Hey, get order, get order.
15 times.
Let's get order.
Off a cell phone.
Thank you for coming, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Sir, thank you.
We're gonna get ready to move on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think we believe you.
All
Mr.
right.
President.
Now, this is Paul thought and comment. It's gonna be hard for me not to believe my sheriff standing up there saying that they walked out on. Very hard. So, and now we're gonna move right along, unless you got
I
something.
will make one final statement. I did bring my jail administrator, Mr. Jeffrey Husted, there. They can verify everything that I said is not a lie.
I think we believe you.
All right?
Yeah.
I think we're ready to move on. Where are we now? Randy, that's it. You got anything?
Sheriff
Got no
vehicles.
sheriff?
Sheriff vehicle, Sheriff.
Couple items. Just need the board to acknowledge billing for the Madison County billing MDOC for the month of September, $13,079.21.
Motion by Carl, is there a second? Second by Trey. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I also have the inmate meal log for the month of October that I need to submit for the minutes. If you can acknowledge that for me, please.
A motion to
Motion
acknowledge.
by Gerald, second by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Motion carried.
And lastly, I think you'll see there's a item for authorization to bid for vehicles for the sheriff's department. Those Tahoes are no longer going to be on state contract. The availability is very small. This is authorization to bid by those specs. Those vehicles would not be in until December regardless, so it would be after the appropriate time. If I could get authorization to do that, I would appreciate that as well.
Make a motion for approval.
Motion by Gerald,
Second.
second by Carl. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried.
I'm in favor of it. I didn't speak up that time.
You didn't speak up that time?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Me too.
All right. Rodney, did I ask for you? Or did I skip over?
No, you asked Ronnie, he didn't have nothing.
Rodney didn't have
He
nothing?
didn't have nothing.
Okay. Old business.
Ain't got nothing.
All right, then executive session.
Yes, there is a request for executive session for.
Oh, Jim.
I see.
Oh, man.
That's Mr. Executive Session.
You're right.
For the acquisition of right-of-way, and there is one item for new business as well, just a real brief.
All right.
Move to go into closed termination.
Motion by Carl, second by Trey. All in favor?
Favor. Aye.
Aye. And we're gonna take a